Hey guys, welcome back again to another video. So, Gameinformer did another interview where they actually discussed more with the story with both Takahashi Iizuka, the director of Kishimoto, I probably said his name wrong, and one of the writers on the game, Ian Flynn. So without further ado, let's get into it. Takahashi Iizuka starts off, Ian has been working as a comic writer for a long time. I was very familiar with his work, but after reading the comics, I was even more impressed with his talent. Sonic Team creative officer Takahashi Iizuka says that's why I want to ask him to work on the story for the game. He knows the characters well, so he brought a great improvement to the characters' emotional dialogue. Yeah, after reading his comic run so far, yeah, I totally agree with this. So, very curious to see what's next in terms of the story for this game, because it sounds pretty promising so far. But as you know, anyway, moving on. He's longevity with the series having contributed heavily to both comic series and even writing a couple of episodes of the popular cartoon. Impressed Sega, and a few years after IDW picked up the rights, he was invited to contribute to the narrative. I'm a career Sonic nerd, so I wanted to weave some of the series' legacy into it. Right, Ian says, I wanted to advance the characters' personal stories, even if just by a tiny bit. I also wanted to bring some interconnectivity to previous games. There isn't anything that will be too dense for new fans to wade through, but just long enough for long-term fans to appreciate. Sounds good to me. Anyway, during my hands-on time with Frontiers, I witnessed some of his handiwork in that regard. As you're running through the open zone of Frontiers, Sonic will make small comments to himself, since Frontiers story takes place at the latest point of the timeline exists currently after the events of Forces and Team Sonic Racing. All previous titles are fair game. All of them? Even the controversial one? Cool. In one voice line, the blooper wonders if Kronos Island would make a good location for a child garden. We know there aren't any in the Frontiers. Damn! Oh well. But small lines like that add the overall connectivity of Frontiers to the rest of the Sonic Hedgehog timeline. There are things Ian put in for the fans, including references to other games, make it clear that the Frontier story isn't a standalone world but a part of the long history of Sonic. Hey, I think that's great. So it's good that they're actually making it essentially matter to the overall canon of the Sonic franchise and moving it forward. So I think that's great. That's great news. So hey, maybe this location would become relevant in the future of the series. Who knows? One honestly knows. Time will tell. With how the story plays out. But we'll see. Anyway, continuing. While Forces and Generation are referenced several other games, Frontiers is doing so with a lighter touch. We shouldn't expect a wide array of character cameos or familiar boss battles as was seen. Yes, Eggman is in the game, so are a small handful of his Sonic friends, but the cast of characters trimmed down substantially from some recent games. The story begins as Sonic, Amy, and Tails visit undeveloped Kronos Island and are separated by a mysterious phenomenon. They're talking about that wormhole, I think it was. Anyway, Iizuka says, Sonic sets out alone to find his missing friends, but this is undeveloped land that no one's seen / visited before, so we won't be seeing a huge cast of characters. So yeah, it seems like the characters that are going to be in the game are going to be pretty relevant to the overall plot of the game. So I'd say that is a good thing, because personally I'd rather have characters that not be in the game, or rather than be in the game but not be relevant to the story in any regard. But hey, that's just me. Anyway, continuing. Those familiar faces, Eggman, Amy, Tails, and Big, to name a few, were hand-selected by Sonic Team and then handed over to Flynn to further flesh them out in their arcs. While not everyone's favorite characters appear at Frontiers, Ian hints that we might get deeper cuts mentioned. As you're running around, listen to what Sonic says to himself. He says, you might hear some name drop that'll surprise you. Ooh. Could you imagine if they had the balls to mention Princess Elise from 06? Because knowing how controversial that character is and that game in general is. But do I expect it? Nah, I'm not expecting it. I'll be pleasantly surprised if they do, because 06 was a guilty pleasure of mine. So, but hey, who knows, man? Like they said, some names will surprise you, and I'm all for it. So, continuing. Despite Sonic Team largely calling the shots, Flynn was still able to have some major say in it. It was during that time when Ian Flynn presented some ideas for bringing different characters in the story. Director Morio Kishihamoto says, I think I said it right. I probably botched it again. We had the development team think about how it could get integrated into the new format, which then prompted Ian to present even more new ideas. And throughout that cooperative back and forth, we settled on the characters that would appear in the game. Sonic Team has remained largely mysterious about the way the narrative plays out. Sonic Tails and me arrive following the Regions of Chaos, but while I played for more than 3 hours, I still have little idea of what's going on with the characters, the islands, and the creatures that inhabit them. This appears to be very much by design. That sounds like Halo 1, in my opinion. But anyway, Eggman arrives on the island just literally right before Sonic, Tails, and Amy do, but he goes missing after that. The island appears to be uninhabited, but there are some mysterious life forms made of stone called Coco. Sonic's missing friends, the undeveloped island, the ancient ruins, the strange life forms, all of those mysteries wait for the player to unravel them as they explore the world of Sonic Frontiers. Like I kind of mentioned with that Halo reference, it seems like they're kind of following what Bungie did with Halo CE, like when you remember like in the first Halo where you just drop on the ring in the second mission, like where it was like so foreign to you. I'm kind of getting that vibe here, like where the Starfall Islands are so mysterious, like you don't know what's going on. What is this place? What makes it stand out? You know, that kind of thing. So that's seemingly what it stands out to me. So, hey, I'm all for it. So I'm gonna be looking forward to exploring these islands. So how many there are remains to be seen. But anyway, continuing. One character that has a particularly mysterious presence during my playthrough is Eggman. Sonic's most iconic adversary appears in the first cutscene, gets absorbed into cyberspace. I don't see him again until a while later, where he's trying to escape from it. Out in the open zone, I stumble upon some tech, which even confuses Sonic. I have no idea what role the mischievous mushy-eyed man plays in the game, but Sonic Team promises it's a prominent one. Featuring Eggman in the story is something we decided on from the early stages of things. We wanted Eggman to be an extremely important key figure in the story for it to be successful. We did not want him to just be the bad guy in our good guy versus bad guy scenario. We want to portray him as a flesh and blood human being in the story. That is fantastic in my ears, because it's good that they seemingly want to ignore, avoid the common trope of good guy versus bad guy that most games do. So I think it's great that they're going to be seemingly giving Eggman some of important character development. I think that's great. That is music to my ears. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with them. So, hey, I'm all for it. So, continuing. While Flynn is well versed in the comic writing, Sega has a bigger hand in creating the story of Frontiers than it does in the comics. In fact, when Flynn writes the comics, he handles pitching the premise, characters, setting, and plot by himself. Then, once all the elements are approved, he goes page by page, creates a script. That's typically the last he sees of it until it arrives on store shelves. For Frontiers, he's still heavily involved, but the process is drastically different. With Frontiers, Sega provided the plot beats, settings, and characters, so my job was mainly fill in the details. I was able to bring some ideas, but this was more a collaborative effort as the game was being developed. New content, revised approaches were needed, so I was involved for much longer than a comic project. So yeah, Ian didn't technically write the whole story by himself. Basically, it was largely just Sega/Sonic Team, and Ian just filled in the blanks. Like a character dialogue, for example. That's where he comes in, because that's his thing. So it was writing the characters themselves. So, obviously having Sonic Team do the huge brunt of it, while Ian just fills in details, like I just said. So, yeah, that makes sense, because that's kind of his thing. So that's good to know. So it should be some really good dialogue. I expect, going off of how he's done his comic books. So current run is pretty good, by the way. So anyway, and finally, according to director Kishimoto, the storytelling Frontiers takes a more serious approach, hoping to transcend that good guys versus bad guys scenario. He referred to that as present in most games in China. See, they keep harping on about that. We need something dramatic to set that serious tone and foreshadow things to ponder while playing the game. On the surface, our story is something that can be easily enjoyed, but we also want to challenge ourselves to create drama that would also be enjoyable if thought about at a deeper level. This is a rare type of experience in the stage-clear action game genre. It was also important for us to integrate it in, as we felt it was of critical importance to this open zone format. Flynn echoes Kishimoto's, again, I botched it again, excuse me, assessment of the story. I'd say it's a more somber story overall. It's about self-reflection and choosing how to move forward. And Sonic being Sonic is a positive reinforcement and the force for change that everyone needs. I hope everyone enjoys what we put together. And that sums up the interview. There was some other thing where it turns out that Ishimoto actually did the Japanese localization. Since Flynn is an American writer, so there's that as well. So what do I think? I think this is all good news. It seems like they're really investing in character development for the cast of characters that are going to be in the game. So especially even some new ones like obviously this will be some new ones like Sage, where she seems to be helping Sonic in some way, because as it was previously reported, apparently she's the AI that warned him in the Game Wars trailer. But yeah, so I think it's so far so good. Hopefully we get a story trailer at some point before release, of some form. So hopefully, because yeah, because I want like know at least a tiny bit of of the story a little bit, like a story trailer, whatnot. Hopefully, but fingers crossed for that. So. But yeah, so what you guys think of this new details? I think it's great. It seems like they're taking the story pretty seriously with this game in terms of tone. It's just everything they're doing in terms of the character writing the characters and everything. So yeah, bringing Ian Flynn was a brilliant move by Sega on their regard on this one. I'm totally for, and I'm all for it. So anyway, so what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section below. And if you like this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing to channels to not miss out any more videos. And I'll see you all in the next one. Later.